وحبيبنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه بارك وسلم. Alhamdulillah, um, it's been actually a very difficult week for our community, and especially for the students and those who know our teacher Maulana Taha Karan. Um, um, Maybe some background for those of you who don't know him. Maulana Taha is my teacher. He's the teacher of all the Mizan students. He is the principal of Darul Ulum Al Arabiya Al Islamiyya, called Du'ay. It's a Darul Ulum in Strand in Cape Town. And all of us studied there, myself, Mullah Zakaria, Mullah Muhammad, Mullah Irshad, Mullah Yazid. All the teachers at Mizan studied and or taught at this Darul Ulum. And its head is Maulana Taha, and he's also the Mufti of the MJC. And it's been quite difficult because he's currently critical with COVID in ICU, and we make dua for his shifa. And it is difficult because aside, besides the personal connection from student to teacher, which I maybe speak about later, is that there are certain scholars which Allah blesses the world to experience. And once they are removed, they are in a sense irreplaceable. Like you only have one Imam Shafi'i coming. And when Imam Shafi'i is removed, there is no replacement for him. You only have one Imam Al Khazali coming. And when he is removed, there's no Khazali after Khazali. So there are certain scholars that come to this world for a few years, and they shine brightly in this world, and their life and their light that they spread, it leaves a permanent effect on this world. And when they are gone, um, people still benefit from that light and that effect, but they can't, in a sense, be replaced. And it is the firm belief of myself and all of those who know Maulana Taha well, that he is an exceptional scholar. He is a scholar that, in a sense, cannot be replaced. Um, for us, very much, he is unsurpassed in our day and age, especially within the English speaking world, within the South African community. He brings something which is unique, and he brings a certain depth, a certain um, um, a rich, deep understanding of both the legacy of our intellectual tradition, as well as a very strong understanding of contemporary issues and contemporary situations. And he is able to bring those two worlds together, the world of the Islamic heritage and all of our books and our works over the last 1,500 years. He is able to to bring that, and is able to apply those teachings in the contemporary world. And that's been the hallmark of his scholarship. And the degree that he has done that is breathtaking, and is illuminating, and is precious, and um, is unique. And so on a scholarly level, it's been a very difficult week to um, because he's been very critically ill, and to lose someone like that, and we're going to lose everybody at some stage, but to lose these lights is something which is difficult to contemplate. And I wanted to first of all ask that all of you make dua for his recovery, for his shifa. Even if you don't know him, know that there is a great asset and a great light that lives within our community, and he is very much hidden. Not many people know who he is. Not many people have heard of him sometimes, or if you have heard of him, you haven't heard him speak, or you haven't seen him much. He's very much a teacher of the teachers, a scholar of the scholars. And what you see perhaps are many of his students in the community, But he himself is often quite hidden. But he is a shining light within this community, and make dua for him, special to Allah. Must bless him to recover and to be in the service of Islam for many years. And I thought I wanted to speak today about the value of scholarship, the important, essential value of scholarship, because Islam is not preserved within books. Islam is not perpetuated through libraries of works. Islam is preserved and perpetuated in people. It lies within people. And if scholars do not carry this faith from generation and develop another group of scholars who carries the faith to the next generation, who then develop another group of scholars who carries the faith to the next generation, Islam would disappear. And it has disappeared like that before. If we think of the slave trade, if we think of many slaves that were taken from West Africa, they were Muslims. They had ulama amongst them, and they were taken to North America. And they took the Islam with them to North America. But what happened was that the legacy of Islam was not preserved from scholar to scholar to scholar, and eventually Islam disappeared. Same with South America as well. There were Muslims taken to South America. Um, there were many Arabs who went to South America, and entire communities who were Muslim before, after a few generations, there's hardly any Islam left. And especially when Islam is within a minority community like North America, like South America, and if you if that community does not develop perpetual generations of scholars, then Islam will actually disappear and has disappeared from those communities. Many of them might still even have Arabic names, Arabic surnames, but they have completely lost their faith. They have been assimilated into the dominant culture and the dominant faith. If you contrast that to South Africa, and especially Cape Town, is that from the time that Islam was brought here via political exiles, via political prisoners, via workers, indentured laborers, as long as Islam has been brought here from the early scholars like Tuan Guru, like Sheikh Yusuf al-Maqasari from Makassar, they have always nurtured and produced another generation of scholars to carry the faith. And there's been an unbroken line of scholarship within Cape Town that has preserved our faith. And I think we have to value that preservation. That we as a Muslim minority within Cape Town and within South Africa at large, is that we have been able to maintain a perpetual generation of scholars over centuries. And that has ensured that Islam remains strong and Islam remains relevant and present within the community. Because without that scholarship, it will become broken, because people will become assimilated within the dominant culture, because that's where Islam resides. Islam resides with those that know, that teach those who don't know, and then those don't know becomes those who know, and those that and they continue Islam like that. So the first thing we have to do is we have to value ulama, because al-ulama'u warathatul anbiya, that the ulama, the people who know, they are the heirs, they are the inheritors of the prophets, and their inheritance is this knowledge. And this class, for example, is an example of passing on and transmitting the inheritance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is the value of scholarship. And I'm not sure that it's always sufficiently appreciated, and especially sometimes sometimes we take things for granted, but it's a great ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala. And then to be granted a scholar like Maulana Taha to emerge from our community is something which is even a greater gift, to have someone of that depth. And if you don't know who he is, then perhaps ask a scholar in your community who is Maulana Taha, and the scholar will be able to tell you. Um, that he is someone who is really, really unique. And so that's on the scholarly level. On a personal level, I think there's a difference between an emotional love and a spiritual love. You know, an emotional love is often based on physical interaction, on blood relations, and that emotional love is very fickle. Meaning, what sometimes you have a couple and they meet and they have completely immersive, immense emotional love. And if you fast forward a few years and they get divorced, all that love is gone. So even though the love was intense and burned brightly, it was very temporary. It just left. You even have love breaking down between parents and children, between siblings. You have brothers who once upon a time played and loved each other, and now they don't even speak to each other. And this kind of this emotional love is very fickle. And then you have something which is like spiritual love. That's the love we feel for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's the love we feel for the Sahaba. That love is a permanent, immovable love. And that is the love that many of the students of Maulana Taha, all of the students of Maulana Taha, we'd feel for our teacher, is that there is a deep spiritual love for him. Because when someone gives you a gift, and that gift is understanding of Islam, understanding of what Allah wants from you, understanding of Allah's system on this earth, understanding of the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, understanding of your purpose in this world. If someone gives you that gift is the greatest gift that someone can give anybody else. Is that gift of this is the true guidance. And for that, we are forever indebted to him as his students. And the completeness and with which he conveyed and conveys that to us. And it just leaves one with such profound contentment and certainty within Islam that in a period of uncertainty, for someone to gift you something which is so complete and so, and everything just makes sense and it just removes all the rancor that goes on within our minds and our hearts, that gift is priceless. And that is the gift that Malta has given his students. And that's why we have immense love for him on a personal level as well as on a scholarly level, that he's really something special to us. And yesterday, actually, we read a whole khatam of Bukhari. So we read quite a few Quran khatams for him. And yesterday, I think it must probably be the first time in Cape Town that a group of scholars came together at Asr time. His students and some other scholars came together after Asr yesterday. And we individually read at the same time. Of course, Imam Bukhari's hadith book is probably 6 or 7 thousand hadith. Um, and we read it from Asr to Isha, the entire book. So each one took a few ahadith, and at the same time we all read that hadith, the entire Khatam of Bukhari read, and by Isha we had finished the whole Khatam and made dua for his shifa with the niyyah that the barakah of that reading, that barakah of all the Prophet's words and actions, the barakah of all that salawat, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the mention of all of those sahaba and pious people within in the sanads, that through the barakah of that, Allah must grant shifa to our beloved teacher Mawlana Taha, and may Allah accept him, may Allah Ta'ala cause his shifa and cause him um, to be with us once again, leading and guiding us. And the hadith I want to focus on for today is the hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hadith comes in Bukhari, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu, um, قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله لا يقبض العلم انتزاعا, where the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says that إن الله, verily Allah Ta'ala, لا يقبض العلم, Allah will not take and remove علما, knowledge, intiza'an, in one go, by just plucking it from the hearts of people, by just removing it from this dunya in one go. ينتزع من العباد, that Allah will not come and Allah will not come to the slaves of Allah and He won't just pluck and remove knowledge. So how will knowledge be removed? ولكن, rather, يقبض العلم, Allah will remove knowledge بقبض العلماء, by taking away the scholars. That as Allah causes more and more scholars to be removed, and there aren't enough scholars to replace them, that is when knowledge becomes removed from a society. Hatta, to such an extent, إذا, there will come a time when لم يبق عالما, there won't remain one true person of knowledge. That eventually will come at the time at the end of this world, in the Akhirul Zaman, where there won't be one person of knowledge left, one alim left. And what's going to happen then? اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا, that people and nas are going to take ru'usan, leaders who are juhalan, who are completely ignorant, who have no knowledge of deen. فَسُئِلُوا, and then these ignorant people who now pose as the scholars, who pose as the leaders, they will be asked, فَأَفْتَوْا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, and then they are going to give fatwa, they're going to give guidance, and they're going to give direction, and going to be given opinions, بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without any knowledge. فَضَلُّوا, and then these leaders who are posing as people of knowledge, they will become lost. وَأَضَلُّوا, and they will cause others to become lost and to become astray. And this is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This at the end of time, this is what happens. And as long as our ilm, our knowledge, is connected to the legacy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are safe from this, because that is the true legacy. So in other words, how do we know whether we are on the right path, whether our positions are right? It's very simple. Are our positions, are our opinions in line with the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Are our opinions and our positions aligned to the words of the Quran? And are our opinions and our positions aligned to the breadth and the depth of Islamic scholarship? Because over over all these hundreds of years, if scholars have engaged with the text of the Quran, with the text of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is a broad consensus that these are the parameters of understanding. And if our knowledge is are within these broad parameters of understanding, we are still on the legacy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the gift that our teacher Taha has gifted us. That he has gifted us, that these are the keys to the legacy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And within that legacy, you may immerse yourself for the rest of your life, and you may find guidance and you may find light with this legacy. And there are people within our times and within our communities who are opposing that legacy and saying, what is this legacy? This legacy is outdated. This legacy doesn't belong in our times. This legacy has been misinterpreted for 1,500 years. We have to change the way we think about this legacy. And they want to basically give fatwa. They want to give guidance without any reference to this beautiful legacy. And that is a sign of the end of times. And for us to maintain our authenticity and legitimacy as Orthodox Muslims, and Orthodox means that we are in tune, we are aligned to the legacy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what Islam is. This is what Islam is. This is what the gift of guidance is. And it's very difficult these moments. And I make to Allah must, because some people, there are really some people who cannot be replaced. Inshallah, if you Google Malta's names, you might find a few talks online. I would encourage you to watch them. But most of his scholarship is not online. It's been shared in the classes that we've sat in for many years, alhamdulillah, and that's really been a great blessing. And most of all, my appeal to you is appreciate this legacy that we have and this gift that we have. Appreciate the scholars that we have, despite any shortcomings, and they will have many shortcomings. Appreciate the scholars, because they carry the understanding of Deen, and they will transmit it to you and to your children. And from amongst your children will be raised a generation of scholars, inshallah ta'ala, who will transmit it to their children. So appreciate this legacy. Give yourself access to this illumination. Give your children access to this beautiful legacy. appreciate those who carry it. And most of all, my appeal to all of you in this next few days is please keep this man Malataha in your du'as, and all of those who are ill, but keep especially him in your du'as, because he plays a very important, unique role within our society. And may Allah return him to us. Allahu wa ameen, inshallah. And I think one of the messages here is that um, um, we one of the messages is perhaps that we will maybe read a khatam for Mullah. So we'll maybe just open the khatam or multiple khatams, and we'll maybe have a completion of that together online, inshallah, and make a special dua for him, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll send out those details to the class, and we'll have a completion of the khatam. Alhamdulillah, we are reading continuous khatam every day for him amongst his students, but we'll also open it up to his students, inshallah, for them also to join those khatams. And there's lots of dua made for him, and in the end, this is all just a acknowledgement that everything is in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. There's nothing that we can do besides pray in earnest and desperation, um, that Allah should grant his healing and his recovery. But in the end, it's all in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. And Malata's last words to us was to be optimistic and to be hopeful, because inni inda dhanni abdi bi, because the Prophet's words to us is, I am I am as how my slave thinks of me. And so we are thinking of Allah Ta'ala with great hope and optimism for his recovery, and we're trying to maintain a positive attitude. And